the sun shines bright and the seeds are sown. Portugal, it's the place to be. Join the community, come and see. Expats Portugal.
And welcome to you to this Expats Portugal webinar for the 4th of September 2025, the hidden risks of buying a home in Portugal. We've got Nuno Fernandes with us from Energon, who's an expert on these matters. Why so many Portuguese homes suffer from damp, mould and icy winters. Yes, even on the sunny coast. Comes as a surprise to some people. The hidden building flaws that estate agents rarely mention. Funny that. How energy inefficiency can cost you thousands every year, which is becoming increasingly important, of course. Why property inspections are not standard. Another surprise for people buying homes in Portugal. Property inspections aren't standard, and how Nuno's team is changing the game. Thank you for that, Nuno. It'll be great if that becomes standard practice, of course. The exact steps as well tonight to protect yourself before you sign anything. And as some of our members were saying tonight, if only we could have done this a year ago. We'll see how we can help you this evening. Nuno Fernandes, good evening to you. Welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Carl. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here. So yeah, we're going to be talking about all the topics that Carl mentioned. A little bit about me. I have around 30 years experience in architecture and construction in 5 continents, from the US all the way to Australia. And I've been looking about these issues of the inspection and the issues that that hinder residences out of passion, but also out of my career.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can shed some light on that and help you with your decisions, both before, after, or during your renovation stages.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, and it's nice. I think you take it kind of personally as well as professionally.
I do. I really do.
We'll get a sense of that this evening. And I've got some great questions for you. Let's get into a cracker to start with. What's the most surprising or shocking flaw you've ever uncovered during a property inspection in Portugal? That's what you do, of course, inspections. And you must have seen some shocking things in your time doing that. Tell us about some of the most shocking, if you will.
Yeah, there's always surprises about doing a house inspection, especially in Portugal, where these inspections are not mandatory by law. So it's usually by the prospective buyers or the people that already bought the house, the new owners that decide to undertake one of these inspections. You see all kinds of shocking stuff in Portugal, from a double wall that's built to conceal existing humidity on the wall behind that one. So,
wow.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of fixing the problem, let's just build another wall on top of this one.
That's quite an effort to go to, isn't it?
I know.
Right.
So say, you know that in Portugal we built solids. So maybe the original wall is brick and render, and then someone decides, no, hang on, we're not going to fix this. We're just going to build a plasterboard wall.
Yes.
In front of this one, and hopefully everything is fine, at least until the sale is completed.
At least for a year or so.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, my
so
goodness.
Other things like, when you build a house in Portugal, you need to lay foundations, build a slab. Sometimes, the bottom slab is not built, meaning that you have some foundations on the walls, and then you start building, like, say, a beautiful wooden floor, but underneath there's no slab. There's just the terrain. You obviously don't see that until maybe 5 or 6 years later, when all this wood starts rotting.
Yes.
And then you understand, there's only dirt underneath. So, I mean, like I said, there's always
that's extraordinary. I mean, as people want to live close to nature, but perhaps not that close to nature. And I think what you're talking about there is like proper construction would be on a raft of concrete.
Correct.
For the walls and the interior areas, and this is where you've discovered things built straight on. Yep. Okay, so
that slab should be insulated against humidity and against any waters that are underneath.
Yes.
So yeah.
We've got shocked emojis flying across the screen, and Valerie saying terrible, not great for confidence in housing here. Not all the houses are like that. And Kippertree, of course, is a way of finding decent housing stock. There are great houses built to a very high standard in Portugal as well. Those are the howlers and the exceptions that can cause problems. So we're just giving you an idea of some of the worst case scenarios. But there are some fabulous houses being bought, being built and bought here in Portugal as well. Thanks for that, Nuno. It's a great start. You've got everybody's attention, I think. For foreigners dreaming of a Portuguese home, what's the biggest reality check they should expect about building standards here in Portugal?
So I suppose that if you come from the US, from Australia, even from UK in some cases, the construction techniques, traditional construction techniques are very different from the Portuguese. In Portugal, construction is solid, generally speaking. You have foundations, you have concrete elements of the house like pillars and beams. Usually all the floors are also concrete. However, that doesn't mean necessarily that means quality, and especially it doesn't mean comfort. So it's solid, all right, but maybe in terms of insulation, things are not there. And if you come from another country, a bit more regulated on that respect, where ventilation is standard, where heating and cooling may be standard, you come to Portugal and you may have a big surprise about that. Because that's pretty much something that we don't do. And again, I say, and this is important, traditionally. People don't want to spend the extra money on that. And because maybe like some foreigners, when you come here, it's sunny every day, and you don't understand that it's sunny, but it's cold or it's damp, or you still have the same issues. So the big reality check is that sometimes we associate because we're buying solids, we're buying the best house possible, and that's sometimes not the case. So yeah, I think that's what we need to think about.
Yeah, very good. And look, we've had a request for your details for a repetition of the name of the company. Find Energon in the Expats Portugal business directory, and looking at your website as well. It's all about the comfort zone. You used that word, didn't you? It's solid but not comfortable necessarily. And I think you're literally trying to make comfort zones for people within the sort of standard building practices of Portugal. That's excellent. Thank you. Okay, this thing about property inspections, then, that comes as a big surprise, because a lot of financing of homes in other countries is based on inspection, isn't it, as well? It's a vital part of the financing. Not so necessarily in Portugal. So how is it different here? It's not essential, is it? It's not a requirement.
No, it's not essential. It's not mandatory. It's not even, I shouldn't be saying that, but it's not even regulated as it should be. So it's pretty much an optional decision from the buyer or the prospective buyer, or the person that already owns that property, or even from a person that has a project and they want to have some sort of a peer review or check if all the solutions that the architect and the engineers are presenting are in conformity with that building. So now it's not mandatory, but it's very important for you to do that, because think about this: a lot of the clients I have, they buy existing homes, and just like I would do anyway, I buy a house that I like, and I plan to do a renovation on that house, to fit my lifestyle or to fit my family, whatever the situation may be. How are we going to do it? You can plan the spaces, but then if it comes to the part of, is the house well insulated? What kind of heating system should I put in there? Is there ventilation? Are the windows okay? All these kind of issues are important, and most likely than not, if you're going to do an inspection, is by the prospective buyer, never suggested by the seller or the real estate agent.
Right. And you're keen to have this change happen in the industry, right? You're like a one-man crusade to have this happen.
Correct. I think it's the right way to do it. We don't want to be associated with poor construction, even if we understand that until the 70s or the 80s, the construction standards were a bit, lose.
Yeah.
We would like to know that if you are a foreigner and you buy a house here, that house that you buy can at least be fixed or remediated in a
Yes.
way that when you are inside the house, you feel comfortable and you feel that this is going to be my home.
Yes, very good. Yeah, and that comfort that you speak of, and also then a contribution to the total inventory of decent quality here in Portugal as well. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that. Great questions coming in already. Thank you. We've got Bet, Alex, and also Derek and Jay. Thank you all. We'll get to all of those, and it's a good reason to be an Expats Portugal Premium member to actually be on the call so that you can ask questions of our experts personally. And there'll be a little bit of time after the recording is concluded where we can ask you on a more personal level, Nuno, as well, the Expats Portugal Premium members here. And there's a couple of questions that have come through from members who can't be here tonight. That's another feature of membership, is that we can ask a question on your behalf as well. Okay, not standard practice in California either, I'm reading here, but clearly recommended. And I'm sure in a litigious, I think that's the word, isn't it? A litigious society, it's quite good to have these sort of checks carried out.
Yep.
Exposing the hidden risks, then let's get in more into that. Good question about earthquakes, which we'll come back to as well. Can you explain why so many Portuguese homes are actually colder inside than outside during winter?
Yeah.
Now, this is a bizarre phenomenon, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've all seen the meme of somebody who in the morning is wearing 2 coats inside, and then by midday they've got their Hawaiian garlands on. But it can be cold and damp and colder. And is this why all the Portuguese go to the cafe first thing in the morning and don't stay in their own homes?
Sometimes that may happen.
Okay.
The common complaint about the house being colder than outside, there is also a reason for that. More on a physics level, because houses are built solid, they have a big thermal mass.
Okay.
And once that thermal mass, which is those thick walls and the brick and the render, when all of that is charged with cold temperature, they will stay cold.
Yes.
The fact that a lot, and I mean a big lot of houses in Portugal have deficient insulation,
Right.
also creates that feeling of the house being cold. If you see modern construction in Portugal, all the houses are insulated on the outside. The roof is properly insulated, which you'll find that a lot of houses that are for sale, they have zero insulation on the roof, which is the part of the house that most promotes the loss of heat and also the gain of heat and cold. First the roof, then the windows. So those windows also, the existing window frames can also be not ideal. So there's a series of issues to have that feeling of cold inside the house. Sometimes inside the house, I know that this may sound a bit strange, but it's not because the house is damp. It's because the house is too dry inside, and that provokes the evaporation of more of the humidity, creating a feeling of coldness on your skin.
Yes.
That's one. But it can also be because there's too much dampness and you feel the cold from the humidity levels being too high. So there's a series of issues here which go back to the fact that poor insulation, poor window framings, a lot of thermal bridges in the house, drafts can even happen, which bring cold air inside, or that even if you are heating the house, that energy that you are creating very quickly dissipates through roofs or windows everywhere, basically.
Very interesting. Bet's asking what kind of heating do houses tend to have. And when you've got electric dry heating and you've got ceramic surfaces, I think that it's come as a shock to all us foreigners to see water running down the inside of a ceramic surface, because like you say, it's hot and dry inside the house, and it's being like almost wicked through the fabric of the building, isn't it? It's quite a surprise. And I've said this many times, but I haven't said it for a while. people, I've heard someone describe, I can't remember who said it originally, but it's a cold country with a hot sun. So it can get very cool at night, can't it? And then
Yes,
we get the problems you talk about if
yes,
the insulation's not there and the thermal mass is
correct.
cooling down. Right. Okay. So that deals with that, which is very closely connected then to this classic mold and damp in Portuguese
Yep.
properties. It contributes to that, doesn't it? And
Yes.
all the things about whether to use vinegar or whether to use bleach. Ideally, we don't want to do either of those. We want to make
No.
sure the conditions don't exist, right?
Yeah, you don't want to mess with the mold, because every time you're messing with the mold, even if you're going to clean it, what you're going to do is basically free more spores out of that mold and
Yeah.
potentially spread it around more.
Yes.
The reason why the mold is there, it's due mainly to poor ventilation of the houses.
Okay.
There's not enough air circulation in the house to prevent that from happening. Also, high levels of humidity, so above 60% or 55% already is a good environment for mold. And ventilation is really another issue that the Portuguese don't quite understand on the building. And I'm always talking about traditionally, okay?
Yes.
I'm not saying that in the modern construction, a lot of these issues are not taken care of. However, probably 80% of the stock that you have for sale in Portugal, I guarantee you that it will not have an efficient ventilation system of any sort.
Did you say 80?
80, yeah.
Right.
Easily.
Right.
So the mold grows and procreates and whatever it does due to poor ventilation of the houses and high levels of humidity. And sometimes one has to do with the other. Of course, in the summer, it's not the problem because you open the windows and it's all fine and you have this amazing draft through your house, and that is not good for the mold propagation.
Right. Okay. Very, very good. Okay, thank you for that. So we'll stay with poor ventilation and why it's such a common issue here. A lot of that is tradition. It's something I think culturally Portuguese people maybe put up with. And I've known of, American visitors coming to a property, seeing black mold. And in other cultures, it's recognized as a serious problem. I've seen people leave, or heard of people leaving a property. These, I'm not living here. The awareness about black mold in other countries is very different, isn't it? Is it a traditional, going back to traditional building techniques and a cultural thing that ventilation is such a problem here?
How do I explain this without being too aggressive on my own country? Yes. So going back to the culture, until 1974, we had, I call it a soft dictatorship, but nonetheless a dictatorship.
Yes.
In which the country was closed onto itself. We were self-sufficient, no luxuries or no choice or anything like that. So in one hand, you were not exposed to the techniques of construction of other countries in Europe. On the other hand, people were not, generally speaking, well off or with disposable income. So all these things about ventilation are all, I'm not going to call them luxury, but there were things that they could, I'm going to forget about this. We're going to have, 4 months of winter and then it's all good. So we put up with this. We'll put another blanket on the bed and everyone is happy. About the molds, people don't even talk about, is it black mold or is it any other species of mold, and which one is more dangerous than the other one, because even black mold can be coming from different strands of mold.
Right.
We if need be, we analyze that in our inspections to make sure that what's there, one, it's harmless, but it's still mold, or is there a more deep issue with that and which needs to be dealt with in another way.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Now, you've mentioned insulation, and it would appear that the standards are the same here as they are across Europe, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're being applied, right? Or that there is a rigor around it. Tell us about how Portugal compares with other European countries or internationally with energy ratings and insulation standards, if you will.
Yeah, so Portugal right now I'm not talking 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Right now, it's probably on par with what the indications are in other countries of Europe.
Right.
Once again, it's very important to note that nothing of this is mandatory in construction. If there is anything mandatory, I'm sure you can go to the list, dear for your budget in terms of insulation. Also, there are specific indications for different countries. So in Portugal, we don't have snow in most areas. Maybe there is one area in Portugal where you have snow.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, the application of different insulations is completely different from, say, I don't know, Austria or parts of Germany, Switzerland. I mean,
Yeah,
what?
right.
So people don't go and do just because this is the standard. It's understood that it's good practice that they do it. Even, I mean, last week people were telling me that in the roof, I just put 4 centimeters of roof mate and that's enough. It is not enough.
Right.
It's not enough.
Right.
But people continue to have these practices because it's done.
Done and dusted, and a gesture
not my
towards.
house.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Just for show purposes, or to say they've done it rather than.
But in Portugal, you talk about window framing, talk about availability of insulation materials. We have everything here.
Yes, and we make some of it. I mean, these things are made here as well, aren't they? And presumably,
some of them,
exported.
yes.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Talk about cork, for instance. The black cork, one of the best insulation materials.
Yeah,
it's made in Portugal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful material. You'd think we might use it more, but these things do take a time, and you're part of that change, aren't they? But these traditions do take time to challenge and implement. Okay, let's have a look at that really big issue from earlier on. The sort of things that can end up costing people thousands. The hidden building flaws. What can you tell us about that?
So we spoke about some of them. I mean, we spoke about the lack of ventilation in the houses. We spoke about now it's a common practice. Again, it's not everywhere, but it's a common practice already to insulate the houses from the outside, which was never something standard in Portugal. It's people are more aware of what actually a double pane window means, because it's not only the glass, it's also the frame that you need to account for, and also the way that you install that in the building. Right. Because you may think that you are doing everything right, but you're not, because then around the window, it's a thermal bridge into the inside. Yes. Again, roof insulation can cost quite a bit if it's done properly. I think the value of an inspection for people thinking about buying a house is that in the end, you may negotiate your price knowing what you need to do in the house, knowing what the flaws or the issues with the house are. If you know what they are, then you can put a figure towards it and then negotiate a just price for your house or for your property that you want to buy.
So that's a good point, isn't it? You could walk away, or you could negotiate, and then implement the sort of changes and levels of quality of insulation and other finishes for yourself. So you needn't necessarily walk away. If someone is looking at a property tomorrow, and after all you've said, that they're on heightened alert, what are the danger signs, red flags, if you like, that they might look out for? And I know a lot of these can get covered up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's very important to mention that every house is fixable. Okay. I haven't seen any house that you couldn't remediate, that you couldn't make comfortable. It's just a matter of how much you're going to invest on that remediation. Yes. And that's where you can talk to your real estate agent or the seller and say, guys, I understand this, but I need to implement such and such. So red flags are, I mean, there's always something I say: never buy a house in summer. Okay. Do not buy a house in summer. It's the worst season to buy a house because everything is perfect. Yes. You paint some walls and it's so fresh and nothing is wrong with the house.
And you feel great as well that you're in Portugal, you come from the beach and it's like, yay, everything's good.
any of the issues that you may have on a house in summer, obviously everything is dry. There's no dampness. Probably there is no drafts. Probably there is no issues with ventilation because you already cleaned the molds on those ceilings or whatever they may be. So yeah, the big red flag would be, shy away from that. Go in the worst possible time, because that's where you can go and understand, there's issues here, maybe there's a leak, maybe there's the house feels damp, you smell this damp. That's another red flag. You go into a house and you have this, I don't know exactly how to describe the smell,
Funky.
but it's
Funky.
musky or musty.
Yeah, right.
It's a big red flag, because it means that the environment inside the house is not okay at several levels. Yeah.
It's the one that mums can smell, isn't it? Who say, you need to open the window. It's that smell.
Yeah. maybe that's right.
And the smell of fresh paint. That could be a little bit of a flag as well.
That too.
Right.
It's not that you can't paint the house before selling it.
Yes.
But I don't know. Be aware of that. Try to see beyond if you can, because that also may be, because it's very easy to conceal lots of stuff in the outside as well as in the inside by just painting things and clean it really well.
And you make an excellent point. Summertime, the owner offers you a gin and tonic. You're sat on the terrace looking at the view. You're thinking, I love this place.
That's right. Perfect.
That's right. And also a very good point that everything is fixable. And presumably when it comes to, you like the place, you discover some things that become a negotiating point. It's your inspection that's going to be the useful document, isn't it? That's going to be your purchase or your leverage for ascertaining a discount.
Yeah. So buying a house is a highly emotional exercise.
Yeah.
And I suppose my role in all of this is just to tell the prospective buyer, it's not, don't buy the house. You like the house, absolutely, but beware that you have these issues to resolve. And if you still want to buy the house, that's fine. I'll give you directions on how to remediate whatever needs to be remediated, and you still have your house the way you want. Well, presumably in the budget that you are willing to invest in it.
So be ready to negotiate, and it can be a difficult thing for people. So perhaps your buyer's agent or a professional of that kind could do that on your behalf as well, and save you a lot of money that way. Because yes, it is an emotional matter, as you say, and a little bit of a third party distance. If you use one of the buyer's agents that we work with to negotiate on your behalf, you might get some great results, especially with Nuno's inspection certificate in your hand as well. Now on that matter, and we've moved into the practical advice, the solutions. Tell us about how your and generally speaking, how inspections work. What sort of professional equipment should we be looking for that somebody might use, so we know we're using somebody of a good quality?
So apart obviously from just observations of different rooms in the house, we use thermal cameras that obviously see beyond what we can see. So if there is an infiltration of water somewhere, if there is a thermal breach, the camera will show that and will take photographs of that area. We can have cable cameras that can see what happens underneath the floor, for instance. We have monitors that tell you different parameters of indoor air quality. Yeah, those are the more fancy. We have drones also. Sometimes roof doesn't have access, and we still want to see what's the state of the roof above, what's the state of I don't know, a chimney, for instance. Is it all okay? Does it need to be fixed something here? Can we see something that was not mentioned by the seller because I know it's difficult access or something like that? So there is different instruments we use, like the ones I mentioned, to figure out this.
But you're Captain Fernandes as well, as a drone pilot.
Yes, you need a license for that, actually.
You do, don't you? Interesting. Okay, now where should the inspection be applied? Because presumably if it's a brand new, top-rated property, recently built, not so much. But where do you think it's absolutely essential to have an inspection?
So obviously, like you say, and rightfully so, if it's new buildings, usually would be less prone to have these problems. They may even have them underlying there, but you'll only see them in 6 years' time when things start, developing in the life of that building.
Mhm.
Obviously, used houses, old houses, farmhouses. You can even use these in a project stage. Say you have a greenfield and you're going to build something in there. I can look at that project and see, along with the client, does this fit my, how do you say, my comfort ambitions, so to speak.
Yes, yes.
According to what my ambitions would be for the new house. So I suppose it always benefits you in either situation, but this, I think, if it's an used house, an old house, obviously it's easier to see flaws and to suggest remediation.
Well, let's find out how much it costs, because then we can do the return on investment maths, can't we? I mean, knowing as I do how much you charge, it would make a lot of sense to pay that amount of money to save losing lots more, or to get that bargaining point, or a bargaining purchase lever, if you like, in the negotiation. So what do you charge for this, Nuno?
So the standard inspection costs 549 euros, VAT included. If it's in the Lisbon region, I'll waive the travel costs. In some areas, I mean, where I need to make, or someone needs to make a lot of kilometers to get there, there'll be a charge of travel. That charge is by law, so it's not an arbitrary value. The law says it's 0.4 cents, 0.4 euros per kilometer, or 4 cents per kilometer, sorry.
All right,
And
okay.
it's charged.
Right, that's so Portuguese, isn't it, to have a standard for that? That's fantastic. So you know where you stand.
It's the same for a lot of professions that require travel costs.
Yeah, yeah. Bet saying 549 euros, and including the VAT, because VAT can add a lot to Portuguese spending. That's including the tax there. 549 euros seems so reasonable, worth it just for the peace of mind. One of our webinar attendees is saying. I'd agree completely with that. So just a few more, I guess there's kind of more personal questions and your crusade to change the industry. How's that going? I mean, presumably in a very traditional industry like the building industry, the construction industry is, are you facing pushback and resistance with this?
Yes, of course.
Right.
One reason is this is not yet fully known in Portugal.
Right.
It's not a normal exercise to do by prospective buyers. So pushback, absolutely, especially from the seller or from the real estate agent. They don't want it. They just want to close the sale as soon as possible. Don't start, digging out some skeletons here and skeletons there, because then potentially their margin may be dropped. However, I don't really care about that, because people that hire me, they are the buyers, so they are the ones I work for. If I need to go against a seller or a real estate agent, I will, to prove that there is some things that need to be addressed.
So you're on our side, which is so reassuring to know, and that's a great attitude. I absolutely love that. All sorts of brilliant questions coming in on all sorts of matters, like really specialist questions as well. Thank you, Jay, then there are mold experts in our community clearly as well tonight, and ways of protecting concrete structures and different kinds of trade names. So we'll get into all of those, I think, after we've paused the recording, because this is a special thing for the premium members to enjoy. I do have the other questions that I'm going to ask on behalf of people who couldn't be here, also premium members. Sign up at expatsportugal.com. Last couple then, before we get to those, and before we start talking to you on a more one-to-one level when we finish the recording. Yes, this came in early on, didn't it? If only we knew about you a year ago. What about those people who wish they'd engaged your services before they've bought and they've already got their property? Can they still engage you and find out what's going on and get some help?
Absolutely. It's never too late. Obviously, when you engage prior to signing the contract, you may be able to save some money there. But if you already did the buying, and if you bought the property already, no problem at all. I'll still look at the property and we'll tell you, the best way to go about remediating it.
Yes. Okay. All right. The question that came in, I'll just do one from the premium members that we have here. With respect to modifications to one's house, how difficult and/or expensive is it to get permits? Is this a little bit beyond the scope of what you do? You're not into the planning.
No, I can answer that too.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. I would have to understand a bit more about what modifications those are.
Yes.
If they are, as a rule of thumb, if they are interior, and if
Yeah.
they don't change any of the facades of the building, you
Yes.
don't require a permit.
Okay.
If they play with the exterior of the house, you change the shape of the roof, you extend the house somehow,
Yeah.
then yes, you would need
Right.
a permit.
And the question was asked about how expensive it is. Is it best to engage an architect for
Always.
that? Okay. All
Always.
right. And could you put signpost people in that department as well? Is that
Absolutely.
something? Okay.
Yeah,
Good. All right. Good to know. That's for you, Beth, who can't be here tonight, but you'll be watching this recording, and that's another perk for the members. If you can't be here and you want to watch this recording before it goes out on Sunday, and part two, the conversation we're about to have with Nuno and the specific questions from our community who are with us tonight, you get access to that as a premium member. Go to expatsportugal.com, sign up there. And just a final question then, Nuno. Number one piece of advice, is it don't buy over a G&T, or is there something else we should know?
No, don't buy it in summer.
Okay.
Seriously, it sounds a bit funny, but it's true.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's the same with
never
cars,
buy a house in summer.
Yeah. Okay, because you like you said, it's an emotional matter, and if you go with the flow, you can convince yourself, can't you? You tell yourself different things to seeing it in winter, seeing it in the dark, and those sorts of.
Like I said before, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The trees are in bloom, the flowers are in bloom, the trees are left leaves, everything is pretty. It's very easy to be carried away and kind of not see the issues that are not so nice.
And we do imagine ourselves, don't we? That's the whole point of doing a viewing. You're imagining yourself there. And if a beautiful sunny day, you are imagining yourself there. And then eventually you find yourself by hook or by crook, I'll make that house my own. But don't get yourself into a pickle. I mean, the other thing, of course, is it's best, I would say, in this culture to sort things out before problems go wrong. The legal process is lengthy. And I don't think it's unfair to say that some people in construction rely on that as a way of doing businesses, and that's a sad thing to share, but there's some truth in that, I think, isn't there?
Yep. And even the activity is also poorly regulated, so pretty much anyone can call themselves a builder,
right?
Without having the right knowledge or licenses or certificates to do it, because I'm just doing this little thing here, and then the results are not good, and we're going to try and get our money back, and it's never going to happen. So even on that option, when you decide or when you select a builder, it's not an easy exercise. I can see a question popping up: how do you find good builders? Which is right on point with this conversation. Yeah. You need to know. You need to know.
Yes,
there's not an easy answer for that.
Yeah,
depends where it is, what is the work to be undertaken. There's not one answer that can respond to that quickly.
I do know probably one thing you might say though about this is don't hire a builder in the summer over a prato de dia and a bottle of wine.
No.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your help this evening. We'll pause the recording there and we'll ask all these amazing questions that we've got from our community here. There's even a chart of different types of concrete cracks. Jay, you prepared yourself well for this webinar tonight, I think. So we'll come to your very specialist questions for our specialist tonight, Nuno Fernandes. Thank you so much. Find out about Nuno's services in the Expats Portugal business directory. I shall pause the recording there and say muito obrigado, boa noite to you for the time being. Thanks, Nuno.
Thank you.
Looking for a place to call your own, where the sun shines bright and the seeds are sown. Portugal, it's the place to be. Join the community.